everyone, this is Sarah from Japan. This is the first time I'm using this application, the YouTube video maker on my iPhone. There's no fancy intro today, no slideshow, just me and the camera and my Bible because I think I crashed my laptop. Well, we'll see when the battery, I'm waiting for the battery to run out because the cap locks button will not come off. And I had a little incident with some paint. There was a little tiny container of paint that I was using for the kids at school, and I thought that it was empty. And my laptop, when I put it on the counter, it went up against it and knocked it over, knocking green paint onto my keyboard. And so some of it seeped into the inside. I got a lot of it out. I've poured coffee on my computer once before too. And after I had to wait, it malfunctioned, and then I had to wait for the power the battery to completely run out before I could fix it. But when I wiped up all the coffee and I cleaned it all out and I replugged it back in, it came back to life. So, you know, I did the same with the paint. I got as much of it out. I did take apart the computer, the backside, and get all the... It wasn't a lot of paint, but it was enough to make it go haywire. So, you know, I did get it all out for the most part, and now I'm just waiting for... The caps lock light is on, meaning it's malfunctioning, and so I'm waiting for the battery to die. And then I'm going to reboot it and see if it won't, start up again. If not, it's going into the shop. Anyhow, so I'm coming to you today, live from Japan. I'm walking on my way to work, and I gotta go quickly because I have an early lesson today. And I'm going to read to you Ezekiel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3. Okay, so Daniel chapter 3 has to deal with the image, okay, that Nebuchadnezzar erected. Okay, in chapter 2, we talked about his dream of an image. This is another image that he erected, and he commanded all of his subjects to bow down to and worship it or die. And it kind of reminds me of Revelations, where the false prophet erects an image of the beast. Okay? And everybody is commanded to bow down and worship it. They're also commanded to take the mark or die. Okay? So, we can see the parallels between Daniel and Revelation just by reading this. And you'll see what these 3 Jewish boys did. Okay? So let's read. Alright, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Okay, then a herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages. Sorry, I'm having trouble. The wind is blowing a little bit, okay? That at the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So they're commanded, all the subjects are commanded to fall down and worship this image as soon as they hear music playing. And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Okay, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego on trial for disobedience. Okay? Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They have not served thy gods, nor worshipped the golden image which thou hast set up. Okay. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do ye not serve my gods, nor worship worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready that at that time of ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not, ye will be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God? Okay? And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? I'm going to run over the street. I'm going to run across the street. Hold on, folks, while I cross. Gotta bring a light. Okay. And all the Japanese people think, look at that crazy foreigner talking to herself and reading a Bible at the same time. They don't know it's a Bible. They've never even, a lot of them haven't seen one. But anyway, oh, my fingers are cold too. Anyway, so Nebuchadnezzar asks them though, who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. So we will not be cautious in telling you boldly, basically is what they're saying. Okay, so, I should turn the page. Ooh, sorry, my hands are cold. It's really cold, it's below freezing. Yeah, so, and I'm trying to turn the page here. Turn the page. My fingers are frozen cold. Alright, okay, I think I finally got it. Okay, yes, I finally got it. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So they're very bold. Wow. I mean, they said, well, we're not going to be careful in how we answer you, Lord, on this one, because we know. You know, our God, who we serve, is able to save us from your fiery furnace. But even if that weren't the case, we would still not bow down to your false gods, is what they're saying. So, Nebuchadnezzar sentences them to the fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, I mean, he's like really ticked off now, and the form of his visage was changed. The form of his face was changed. His countenance, he must have looked monstrous with his rage. And the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake, and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more, 7 times hotter, more than it was wont to be heated. Okay, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. But what a coward, man! And he had to bind these men, with the mightiest of men. You see, those who worship the false gods, and those who go out to destroy true believers of the holy God of Israel, they're cowards. They're cowards. I mean, they gotta take the mightiest of men to bind these 3 young boys. Well, I don't know how old they were at the time of this, but, still. So, then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast in the midst of the fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So here they are in the furnace. They've fallen down. Okay, God's supernatural deliverance. The king amazed. Now listen to this. This is the most awesome part. Okay, then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astonished. I guess you could say astonished. And rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did we not cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, king. And then he answered and said, Lo, I see 4. I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. Okay, they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th man is like the Son of God. So there's Jesus in that burning furnace with them. Okay, God is in the midst of them. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God. Now he recognizes the Most High God. Yes, he recognizes that that's God in there with them. Come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, the governors, the captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw those men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was any hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servants. He thinks there's an angel in there, apparently. Who sent his angel and delivered his servants and trusted him. But, he sees this, what happened, and he understands that, yes, that the God that, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego worship is the one and true God. But he doesn't give his life to him, obviously. Okay? Who sent his angel and delivered his servants and trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar's decree. Okay, this is very interesting after that. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces. Now, if anyone speaks against these 3 Jewish boys, God, they're going to be cut into pieces, okay? And their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. And then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. This is the second time, though, that Nebuchadnezzar has recognized the power of these Jewish boys' God. I mean, the first time was Daniel after he interpreted the prophecy that God gave him, the dream that God gave him of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so I'm going to end it here because I'm freezing cold. Okay, and I will come back to you later. I bless you all in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. I love you all. I'm out. Bye.